Now, a couple of years ago, I drove out to the International Dark Sky Reserve here in South Australia and set up my gear. I waited for the core to clear the horizon and I came home with basically nothing. Not because of the cloud, not because of the wind, because I picked the wrong week. The moon was up the whole time and I just didn't check any apps at all. I made a rookie mistake. That night cost me a full session, a tank of fuel and about 4 hours of sleep. July is the best month of the year to shoot the Milky Way in the Southern Hemisphere, but only if you know which weeks to go. I'm Matt Clark, this is Nightscape Odyssey, and I want to make sure you don't make the same mistakes I did. Here's the shape of July in about 20 seconds. New moon lands on July the 14th. Full moon peaks just after midnight on July the 30th here in South Australia, which means the night of the 29th is basically cooked. The full moon from June 30 is still bleeding into the first few nights of July, but by July the 8th or the 9th, the moon starts behaving itself once again. And from there, July 10th through to the 18th, have 9 nights of genuine darkness centered around that new moon. That is the window, that is where the month lives or dies. Now, before I get into the exact nights, a quick word from the people who made this video possible. Adelaide Optical here in South Australia reached out to me and sent me one of the Astro Night headlamps to check out, and I want to tell you about it. Because honestly, it's exactly the kind of kit you need for a July session. Most headlamps will kill your night vision in seconds, and in July, when the core is straight over your head and you've spent 30 minutes getting your eyes adapted to the dark, that's the last thing you want to do. The Astro Night headlamp starts in proper low power red mode, and the white light is controlled separately, so you're not cycling through the bright white settings and destroying your night vision. That is huge for astronomy and astrophotography, and especially when you're working around other photographers. It's rechargeable, lightweight, and built for long night sessions up to 24 hours in the lowest red mode setting, which matters when you're standing in a paddock in the middle of the freezing July night. Adelaide Optical are the local SA experts for astronomy gear, and they stock the Astro Night headlamp in their store. At the time of recording this, the headlamp sits at around $49.95 Australian, which for a proper purpose-built Astro headlamp is generally great value. I'll leave a link in the description. Go check them out and tell them that Matt from Nightscape Odyssey sent you. Right, the nights in plain English. July 10th through to July 18th. This is your prime window, 9 nights. With that, the bullseye is July the 12th through to July the 16th. The new moon lands on July the 14th. On the nights, either side of the moon is either a disappearing crescent before dawn or a tiny silver setting before dark. You cannot ask for a cleaner setup than that. And then from July 22nd onwards, the moon builds hard back toward full. The full moon hits on the night of July the 29th and into the early hours of July the 30th. If you go out in the last week of July expecting a dark session, you will be disappointed. That's the trap, and don't say I didn't warn you. Here's something most people don't even think about until they're in a paddock at 11 PM wondering why their compositions feel off. In July, the Milky Way is doing 2 different things depending on what time you're out there. Early in the evening, the core is still climbing. It's arching up from south-southeast and it's tilted. It's dramatic, stretching across the sky like it's trying to reach the horizon at both ends. This is your art shot. It's cinematic, it works beautifully with a strong foreground. Past midnight, everything changes. The core is now mostly vertical. It's standing straight up above you. You zoom in and the dust lanes are running almost straight up and down the frame. The detail in the core itself is absolutely insane at this point. Now, these are 2 completely different photographs, so before you leave home, make that decision, arch or vertical, because it changes where you stand, what your foreground is, and how long you need to stay out. The people who come home with the best images from July aren't the ones that are the most motivated, they're the ones that make the call before they leave the driveway. July is the month where your location choice pays off more than any other because the core is so high, your foreground has to earn its place. The sky fills the frame, and what's below it is either doing something or it's going to be in the way. Think height, something tall that echoes the vertical core, like a dead river red gum, an old silo, a fence line that's running away from you into the dark. Something that just pulls your eye straight up into the core. And if you're near the River Murray International Dark Sky Reserve, like I know some of you are, a still night on the water in July is just something else. I've stood on the bank out at the Dark Sky Reserve when the air is completely still and watched the core reflect cleanly on the surface of the water. The core is actually high enough in July that you get a full reflection. And if you haven't scouted your location in daylight, do it. Go during the day, walk where you're going to stand, figure out where north is. Night is not the same to be making those decisions for the first time. Now, a few practical things for July that I want to make sure you're across. First, the cold. July nights in South Australia can drop below zero in the Dark Sky Reserve, and dew is a serious problem. If you're not running a lens warmer, your front element can fog up, and you might not know it until you get home and open the images on your computer later on. Get a lens heater on before you set up, not halfway through. Second, battery life. The cold absolutely smashes your batteries in the cold. Third, your dark adaptation. You need at least 20 to 30 minutes of full darkness before your eyes are actually working properly in the dark. That first look at the sky, the second you get out of the car, is not the sky you're really going to see. Now, before I get to the subscribe bit, I want to ask you something. What's your plan for this window? Do you have a location picked? Do you know which night you're going out? Because I genuinely want to know. I read all the comments on this guide, and the people in there are actually planning their sessions around these dates, and that means something to me. Drop in the comments your location, your target night, what you're chasing, and even the country you're shooting from, because there are people watching this from places I've never even planned sessions before, under skies I've never seen, and that's one of the things I love most about making these guides. Now the subscribe part. If these monthly guides are helping you plan smarter and stop wasting your clear nights, then hit that subscribe button. We are at absolute peak Milky Way season right now. August is coming and the window shifts again. So July, the best Milky Way month of the year for the Southern Hemisphere shooters. Your window is July the 10th to July the 18th. The bullseye is July the 12th to the 16th, and avoid the last week. The moon takes it entirely. Decide before you leave home what you're chasing, the arch or the vertical Milky Way. Scout your location in the daylight. Get a lens warmer on, protect your night vision, and let your eyes adapt properly before you start judging the sky. July rewards the prepared shooter. Thanks for watching, and I'll see all you guys in the next one.